When silence became thunder, the massive trade station Omega-7 hung in the void, like a glittering jewel, its countless lights reflecting off the hulls of merchant vessels from across the galaxy. The station served as neutral ground between the dominion of Krell and the hegemony of Sarn, two galactic powers whose hatred for each other had simmered for centuries. Commander Ziktar pressed his scaled hand against the observation deck's reinforced glass, watching the steady stream of ships departing the station. His reptilian features showed worry as his yellow eyes tracked each vessel fleeing into hyperspace. As a member of the Vorthic species, he had spent 30 years managing this station, but never had he seen such mass evacuation. Standing beside him, Ambassador Neelin shimmered with ethereal energy, her translucent form barely visible except for the soft blue glow that emanated from her core. The Ethereal Council had sent her to monitor the situation, and her normally calm demeanor showed cracks of concern. "How many civilians remain?" Neelin asked, her voice echoing like distant wind chimes. "Approximately 40,000, Sektar replied, his forked tongue flicking nervously. "Many refuse to leave their businesses. Others simply have nowhere else to go." "The Krell and Sarn fleets will arrive within hours," Neelin observed. "When they do, this station will become a battlefield." Zektar nodded grimly. The Dominion of Krell had accused the hegemony of attacking their mining operations near the Zeta Nebula. The hegemony claimed the Krell had fired first. Truth had become irrelevant now that both sides had mobilized their war fleets. A chime from the communications console interrupted their conversation. Lieutenant Moran, a young Vorthic officer, looked up with confusion written across his features. "Commander, we have an incoming vessel requesting docking permission. It's transmitting human identification codes." Zektar's crest rose in surprise. Humans were the newest species to achieve faster-than-light travel, having only made contact with the galactic community 2 years ago. Their small territory lay far from this sector, and few aliens had even met one. A human ship? Here? Zektar moved to the console. "What class of vessel?" "It appears to be a warship, sir. Medium cruiser configuration. They're identifying themselves as the Hughes Prometheus. Captain Elena Vasquez commanding." Ambassador Neelin drifted closer, her energy form pulsing with curiosity. Fascinating. What could bring humans to this volatile region? "Grant them docking." "Permission," Zektar ordered. "Bay 94. And send a diplomatic escort to meet them." An hour later, Captain Elena Vasquez stepped through the airlock into Omega-7's main concourse. She was shorter than most aliens expected humans to be, with dark hair pulled back in a practical bun and alert brown eyes that seemed to take in everything around her. Her blue uniform bore the insignia of the United Earth Navy, clean and pressed. Despite the long journey, following her came Commander Marcus Chun, her first officer, and a small security detail. The humans moved with purpose, but without aggression, their body language conveying professionalism rather than intimidation. Zektar approached with Ambassador Neelin floating beside him. "Captain Vasquez, welcome to Omega-7. I am Commander Zektar, Station Administrator. This is Ambassador Neelin of the Ethereal Council." Elena inclined her head respectfully. "Commander, Ambassador, thank you for granting us docking privileges. I understand this is a difficult time." "Indeed it is." Neelin's voice carried notes of curiosity. "If I may ask, what brings a human warship to our troubled corner of space?" Elena's expression remained neutral, but her eyes showed determination. "We received reports of an impending conflict that could affect civilian populations. Earth's policy is to assist in the protection of innocent life whenever possible." Zektar's crest flattened in surprise. "Captain, with respect, you have one ship. The Krell are bringing 2 battle fleets, and the Sarn are matching them vessel for vessel." There will be over 300 warships in this system within hours. I understand the odds, Commander, Elena replied calmly. But sometimes one ship in the right place can make all the difference. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red warning lights bathed the concourse as Ziktar's communicator crackled to life. Commander, this is Central Operations. We have multiple hyperspace emergence signatures on long-range sensors. It's the Krell fleet, sir. 237 vessels, including 12 dreadnoughts. Elena's first officer, Commander Chun, whispered urgently, Captain, our sensors. Show Sarn ships dropping out of hyperspace on the opposite side of the system. They'll be here in 30 minutes. The civilians in the concourse began to panic. Merchants abandoned their stalls, families gathered their children, and security personnel tried to maintain order as people rushed toward the remaining evacuation ships. Elena watched the chaos with calculating eyes. Commander Ziktar, I need to speak with both fleet commanders when they arrive. Captain, Ziktar's voice carried disbelief. They won't listen to you. Humans are unknown to them. They'll see you as an insignificant pest at best. Then I'll have to make them listen, Elena replied. Ambassador Nyland's form pulsed brighter. Captain Vasquez, what do you propose to do with a single cruiser against 2 battle fleets? Elena smiled, and for the first time there was something predatory in her expression. Something they won't expect. The Krell fleet materialized first, their dark, angular ships emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation. Admiral Graktos commanded from his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons. The Krell were insectoid. Beings standing 8 feet tall with chitinous exoskeletons and compound eyes that missed nothing. Minutes later, the Sarn fleet appeared on the opposite side of Omega-7. Their ships were sleek and curved, resembling sea creatures more than space. Vessels. Admiral Velkara commanded from her flagship, the Tide's Fury. The Sarn were aquatic beings who had adapted their technology to function in both water and space. Elena stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching both fleets take positions around the station. Her crew of 120 worked efficiently at their stations, their calm professionalism a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding around them. Captain, reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the communications station, both fleet commanders are demanding the station surrender any enemy agents. They're giving the civilian population 1 hour to evacuate before they begin combat operations. And how many civilians can evacuate in 1 hour? Alana asked. Maybe 10,000, Captain. 30,000 will be trapped. Elena nodded grimly. Open a channel to both flagships simultaneously. Captain, are you sure about this? Commander Chon asked quietly. Trust me, Marcus. Sometimes the most important battles are won before the first shot is fired. The main view screen split to show both alien commanders. Admiral Graktos' insectoid features showed annoyance, while Admiral Velkara's aquatic form rippled with impatience in her fluid-filled command chamber. Who dares interrupt fleet communications during battle preparation? Graktos chittered angrily. Elena stepped forward, her voice calm and clear. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Navy. I'm requesting both fleets withdraw from this system to prevent civilian casualties. Both admirals stared at her for a moment before Velkara's translator conveyed what might have been laughter. A human? What is this primitive creature doing in civilized space? Your species has barely achieved interstellar flight, Graktos added with disdain. You have no authority here. Leave immediately or be destroyed as collateral damage. Elena's expression didn't change. I understand your positions, but I can't allow 30,000 innocent beings to die in your war. Can't allow? Velkara's tentacles writhed with amusement. Little human, you have 1 small ship. We have 2 battle fleets. What exactly do? You think you can do? Elena smiled again, and this time both admirals noticed something unsettling in her demeanor. I think you'd be surprised what humans can do when we put our minds to it. Enough of this waste of time, Gractos declared. Human vessel, you have 10 minutes to leave this system or share the fate of our enemies. The transmission ended, leaving Elena staring at the blank screen. Around her, the bridge crew waited for orders. Captain, Sean said quietly, what's the plan? Elena turned to face her crew, her voice carrying complete confidence. We're going to do what humans do. Best, we're going to improvise. The human solution. The two massive fleets faced each other across the void, with Omega-7 trapped between them like a prize to be won. On the station, the remaining 30,000 civilians huddled in shelters, knowing that death could come at any moment. In the Prometheus's tactical center, Galena studied holographic displays showing both fleet formations. Her senior officers gathered around the central table, waiting for her assessment. The Krell favor direct assault tactics, she explained, highlighting their formation. Heavy ships in front, support vessels behind. They'll try to punch through. Sarn defenses with brute force. And the Sarn? Asked Lieutenant Commander Serapark, the ship's tactical officer. More fluid approach. Alina traced the Sarn formation with her finger. They'll use coordinated strikes from multiple angles, like a school of predators surrounding prey. Commander Chun frowned at the displays. Captain, even if we somehow stopped this battle, both fleets would just return with reinforcements. What's our real objective here? Elena was quiet for a moment, then looked up at her officers. Our objective is to make both sides realize that starting this war would be the worst mistake they could make. How do we do that with one ship? Park asked. We make them think we're not just one ship, Alina replied. Sarah, I need you to hack into the station's internal communications network. Can you do it without being detected? Should be possible. Dvorthik used relatively simple encryption. Good. Marcus, I need you to coordinate with Chief Engineer Rodriguez. We're going to need every bit of power our engines can produce, but I also need our ship to appear larger on sensors than it actually is. As her crew dispersed to carry out their orders, Elena opened a private channel to Commander Zektar on the station. Commander, I need your help. Zektar's voice carried resignation. Captain, what can I possibly do? My security force consists of 50 officers armed with crowd control weapons. I need you to trust me and follow my instructions exactly. Can you do that? There was a pause. Ambassador Nealon has been advocating for your plan, whatever. It might be. She seems to think humans possess capabilities we don't understand. We do, Elena said simply. But first, I need you to broadcast a general evacuation order to all civilian areas of the station. Tell them to move to the central core sections. Captain, that will take hours. The fleets won't wait that long. They will if they think something bigger is coming. Before Zektar could ask what she meant, Elena cut the channel and returned to her bridge. Both alien fleets had moved closer to the station, their weapons systems powering up for the coming battle. Status report, Elena ordered. The station's communication grid is compromised, Lieutenant Kim reported. We can now broadcast from any internal speaker system. Engineering reports ready, Commander Chon added. Chief Rodriguez has rerouted power from non-essential systems. We can generate a sensor shadow that will make our ship appear 3 times its actual size. Excellent. Sarah, are both fleet commanders monitoring station communications? Yes, Captain. Standard procedure during siege operations. Elena nodded and moved to the center of the bridge. Kim, open a channel to the entire station. I want every person on Omega-7 to hear this, including our alien friends out there. The communication channel opened with a soft chime. Elena's voice carried clearly through every speaker on the massive station. Attention all personnel on Omega-7. This is Captain Vasquez of the advanced scout vessel Use Prometheus. The Earth Defense Fleet has been monitoring this situation. All civilian personnel are ordered to evacuate to core sections immediately. Combat operations will commence in T-30 minutes. She paused, letting that sink in before continuing. Admiral Harrison, this is Prometheus. Confirm receipt of tactical data package. Ready to paint targets for the main fleet's arrival. Elena cut the transmission and waited. On both flagships, alien commanders were frantically consulting with their intelligence officers. Admiral Graktos stared at his tactical display with growing concern. What do our sensors show about human military capabilities? His intelligence. Officer Colonel Drachter manipulated the holographic interface. Very limited data, Admiral. They've only had interstellar capability for 2 years. However, he paused, studying new readings. Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures. From the human vessel, it appears larger on sensors than visual observation suggests. Stealth technology? Possibly, sir. Or some form of sensor masking we haven't encountered before. Meanwhile, on the Sarn flagship, Admiral Velkara floated in her command chamber, with similar concerns. How many human ships could be hidden in this system? Her tactical officer, Commander Ishmael, rippled with uncertainty. Unknown, Admiral. Human technology is largely unanalyzed. They could have cloaking capabilities, or their ships could be too small for our sensors to detect. Both fleet commanders faced the same dilemma. They had come to fight each other, not to engage an unknown human fleet of uncertain size and capability. Elena watched the alien formations on her tactical display. Both fleets had stopped their advance and were holding position, their commanders clearly debating their next move. Captain, Commander Chun whispered, they're buying it. But what happens when they realize there's no Earth fleet coming? Then, we move to Phase 2, Elena replied. She turned to Lieutenant Kim. Open a channel to both flagships. The view screen again showed both alien commanders, but their expressions had changed. Uncertainty had replaced arrogance. Admirals, Elena began, I'm prepared to offer you both a way to withdraw from this system with honor intact. What are you proposing, human? Velkara asked, her translator conveying suspicion. Elena stepped closer to the screen. A demonstration. Your fleets came here to fight each other. But what if I could prove that continued hostilities would be inadvisable for both your species? Graktos' compound eyes focused on her with predatory interest. What kind of demonstration? Give me one ship from each fleet. Any ship you choose. If I can disable both vessels without destroying them, using only my single cruiser, you both withdraw and agree to peaceful negotiations. Both admirals laughed, their translators conveying amusement and disbelief. You propose to fight 2 of our warships simultaneously? Velkara asked. I propose to show you why humanity has survived despite being newcomers to galactic politics. Elena replied calmly. The 2 admirals conferred with their officers before responding. Finally, Graktos spoke. Very well, human. We accept your demonstration. I will send the destroyer Bonecrusher. Admiral Velkara? The cruiser Deep Current will represent Sarn interests, Velkara replied. Elena nodded. Excellent. We'll conduct this demonstration in open space, away from the station. Weapons set to disable only no lethal force. As the 3 ships moved away from Omega-7, word of the unprecedented challenge spread throughout both fleets. Never before had a single vessel offered to engage 2 enemy ships simultaneously. The Krell destroyer Bonecrusher was a brutal-looking vessel, designed for ramming and close-quarters combat. The Sarn cruiser Deep Current resembled a massive ray, its weapons hidden beneath smooth, curved hull plating. Elena stood on her bridge, studying her opponents. Both ships were larger than the Prometheus and carried heavier armament. In a conventional engagement, her ship would be destroyed within minutes. "All stations report ready," Commander Chun announced. "Very well," Elena said. "Let's show them what human creativity looks like. Helm, take us in." The Prometheus accelerated toward both alien vessels, which had positioned themselves on opposite sides of the engagement zone. Elena's plan was simple in concept, but complex in execution. "Sarah, begin broadcasting false sensor readings. I want them to think we're deploying weapons we don't have." The tactical officer's fingers flew over her controls. "Broadcasting now, Captain." They're seeing multiple missile locks and energy weapon charging cycles. Both alien ships responded, predictably, maneuvering to avoid the phantom threats their sensors were detecting. This forced them to alter their attack vectors, exactly as Elena had hoped. "Marcus, execute maneuver Delta 7. Take us between them at maximum burn." The Prometheus shot forward like an arrow, passing between the two alien vessels at a distance that would normally be suicidal. But Elena had calculated the timing perfectly. Both ships fired at the exact moment the human cruiser passed between them. The energy beams and missiles meant for the Prometheus instead struck each other. The Krell destroyer took a direct hit from Saarn plasma cannons, while the Saarn cruiser was damaged by Krell kinetic projectiles. "Both ships are showing damage, Captain," Sarah reported. "But they're still combat capable." "Phase 2, Elena ordered. "Kim, patch me into both ships' internal communication systems." "How did you—" Commander Chun began. "Same exploit we used on the station," Elena explained. "Most galactic species use similar networking protocols." Elena's voice now broadcast directly inside both alien vessels, speaking to their crews. "Attention crews of the Bone Crusher and Deep Current. This is Captain Vasquez. Your commanders agreed to a non-lethal demonstration. However, I have just taken control of your ship's navigation systems." On both vessels, helm officers reported loss of maneuvering control. The ships began moving toward each other on a collision course. "You have 30 seconds to restore manual. Control and withdraw, or your ships will collide," Elena announced calmly. The next 29 seconds were frantic aboard both alien vessels as their crews worked desperately to regain control of their ships. With only seconds to spare, both captains managed to override the human cyber attack and pull their vessels away from disaster. Elena opened a channel to both flagships. "Admirals, as you can see, we disabled both your vessels without firing a shot. Human technology may be new, but human tactics are quite effective." The silence that followed lasted nearly a full minute. Finally, Admiral Graktos spoke. "How did you infiltrate our systems?" "Trade secret," Elena replied. "The question now is whether you want to discover what other capabilities we possess, or whether you'd prefer to resolve your differences peacefully." Ambassador Nealon, who had been monitoring the engagement from Omega 7, transmitted to all vessels in the system. "Both fleet commanders, the Ethereal Council formally recognizes humanity as a tactical power worthy of respect. We strongly recommend accepting Captain Vasquez's proposal for peaceful negotiations." Admiral Velcara was the first to respond. "Very well. The hegemony of Saarn agrees to withdraw and participate in neutral mediation." Admiral Graktos took longer, but eventually replied, "The Dominion of Krell also agrees to withdraw. But human, this matter is not finished between us." Elena smiled. "Admiral, I hope our future meetings will be under more pleasant circumstances." As both fleets began their withdrawal from the system, Elena stood on her bridge, watching the massive ships disappear into hyperspace. Her crew worked quietly at their stations, processing what they had just accomplished. Commander Chun approached her with obvious admiration. "Captain, how did you know that would work?" Marcus, the greatest advantage humans have isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to think differently than everyone else expects. Those admirals were prepared for a military engagement. They weren't prepared for psychological warfare combined with unconventional tactics. Lieutenant Kim looked up from her station. Captain, we're receiving transmission requests from over 40 different species. Word of what happened here is spreading across the galaxy. Elena nodded thoughtfully. I suspect humanity's quiet period in galactic politics just ended. On the station, Commander Zektar stood with Ambassador Nellin, watching the last of the alien warships disappear. I've never seen anything like that, Zektar admitted. One small ship convincing two battle fleets to withdraw without firing a shot. Neoline S-energy form pulsed with what might have been satisfaction. Commander, I believe we've just witnessed the beginning of a new era in galactic relations. Humans don't just think outside the box. They redesign the box entirely. As the UESIS Prometheus prepared to depart Omega-7, Elena received a personal message from Earth Command. Admiral Patricia Hayes, head of Earth's Defense Forces, appeared on her private screen. Captain Vasquez, your actions today have attracted considerable attention throughout the galaxy. We're receiving diplomatic overtures from dozens of species who want to establish formal relations with Earth. Understood, Admiral. What are our orders? Return to Earth immediately. The President wants to discuss humanity's new role in galactic politics. It seems our species has just announced itself as a power to be reckoned with. Alana looked out at the stars surrounding Omega-7, where 40,000 beings continued there. Lives because one human ship had refused to let them become casualties of war. Set course for Earth, she ordered. Maximum speed. As the Prometheus jumped to hyperspace, carrying news of humanity's emergence as a galactic power, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The humans had arrived, and they had proven that sometimes the smallest force, applied at the right point, could move the entire universe. The age of human influence among the stars had begun not with conquest, but with compassion, not with superior firepower, but with superior thinking. And across 1,000 worlds, alien civilizations began to wonder what other surprises this young species might have in store. The galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk